we're pretty casual here. It's a pretty chill space.
I'm not wearing pants, so that's perfect.
Good. I've never, honestly, in none of the videos prior to this, have I ever been wearing pants.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Would you like and subscribe?
I think we're just going to hop right into it. Hi, John. Thank you so much for being on the channel today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm delighted to be speaking with you.
I'm delighted to be speaking with you any chance I get. I have a couple of fun questions to start off with, and then I'd just love to just keep talking about projects and stuff that you've worked on. And I have a fun little first question. What was your first ever favorite song, in your life?
Ooh, wow. I can remember one of the first songs I learned to play was
Jingle Bells. Ooh, 'Tis the Season too.
We lived next door to my grandmother, and she had a piano, and she would babysit me every day when both my parents went to work. And I just started playing the piano from when I was when I was a baby.
Oh, wow. 1 year old at the piano already. That's incredible.
Well, it wasn't like Mozart.
Sure.
A 1 year old playing, the best part of it. And I think that's true with kids in general, that if they fall in love with whatever it is that they're going to do in life, or that they're going to pursue at maybe that age or a little bit older, it becomes play and a joyful expression, rather than the kids 6 years old, we're going to give them Suzuki lesson, violin lessons or something, force them to practice even though they hate it. I mean, maybe I'm fortunate, maybe I'm projecting, and this isn't the case with a lot of people, but I just had a very clear trajectory. It was obvious that, oh, that's what you're going to do.
And there was never any question about it. That's
the only question was when I went to college, because my parents were, typical sort of practical parents, worried about money, as well they should have been. And so for a minute, I veered toward marine biology.
Oh, wow.
Because I loved dolphins, and I thought, I'll get to be a dolphin trainer and play with dolphins, and what could be better than that? And then I realized that marine biology, you had to take biology, you had to take lots of science, and that was not
deal breaker.
That was pretty much the deal breaker. Yeah,
completely. What's your favorite song to play or listen to now?
I love standards. I like Just the Way You Look Tonight. What a great, come on, what a great song. The happiest song that makes me internally giggle when I play it is Face the Music and Dance. Heaven, I'm in heaven. It's just the sweetest, joyful little song. Dancing cheek to cheek, actually, is what it is.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
the old ones.
Amazing. The old ones. Yeah. There's a lot of fun there. There's a lot of joy. Maybe it's because they were coming out of a pandemic, but they're in those early, those 20s, 30s, but there's a lot of joy in some of those songs, Well,
also they're so well constructed.
Oh,
yeah. The other part is lyrically and musically, they're tight as a drum, in terms of the writing, and that, makes me happy.
Sometimes when I'm stuck with songs, I listen to older songs. I listen to kind of classics, and I say, how did they fix this problem? How could I attack this in my own way? Or, I think those songs are some of the best lessons to writers, on early ways that they made it work.
Once we got into Beatles and James Taylor and Carole King and my personal goddess, Joni Mitchell, and, Stevie Wonder. I mean, wow. And those writers maintained the level of quality that came out of the Great American Songbook, and just, adapted it to a different style.
I think that's interesting. A lot of the bands and a lot of the acts that I really love from the 70s also had multiple writers, open to collaborations and open to those kinds of things. which kind of leads me into my next question. I would love to know if there was like a collaboration in your past, like either in theater or that you didn't expect, like with a lighting designer or a sound designer, or that really kind of either influenced you or was a really productive collaboration that you didn't foresee.
Well, the theater, I mean, I haven't done that many theater things, but the theater things that I did do, I wrote both music and lyrics. And generally I do. And when I've written songs with other people, they would write the lyrics and I would set music, because for me, the music is the fun part and the lyrics are the drudgery part. So if I'm going to, write a song with somebody, it's like, you do the hard part and give me the lyric, and then I'll have the fun of, and the easier part, for me anyway, of setting it to music. And so I've done a couple of songs with Amanda McBroom. I've done 12 songs, more than with any other person, with Lindy Robbins, who is a very successful pop writer now. But when I met her, she was just beginning to write. We were in the same group of friends, and she kept bugging me to write with her. And I kept saying no, because I was like, no, I don't do that. I do all my, my own stuff. And then she just was so annoying. And she sent me a lyric that was really good.
Well, that's
and
it
like,
right there.
Oh, wait a minute. And the music sort of poured out, very easily. And so we wrote 12 songs together. I had done a children's book based on my song Grateful. It was just an illustration of the lyrics with
my nieces have that on their bookshelf. To be clear, we love that book. That's a beautiful book.
It's a sweet
it's so
book.
Sweet. It's so beautiful.
And Julie Andrews and her daughter Emma Walton Hamilton contacted me because they had heard the song, appropriately enough, at a Thanksgiving dinner, where somebody sang it as the grace before meals, and wanted to turn it into a children's book. So we did that project together. I got to know them, and they are, of course, wonderful. And I guess maybe a year later, Julie called me up and asked if I would write this children's musical based on another one of their books that they had written, a storybook. And of course, when Julie Andrews asks you to do anything, you say yes. Yeah. Of course, I'll jump off that bridge, Julie, whatever you would like. And I assumed that she meant that I would be writing music and lyrics.
Sure.
No, she wanted me to write only lyrics, the hard part. And she wanted her longtime musical director, a guy named Ian Fraser, to write the music. And, I had to get over my big fat, ego, and also my sort of insecurity maybe about being able to write lyrics that were, without my own music to kind of gussy them up.
Sure.
But I, of course, immediately said, sure. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever been a part of. And Ian wrote music that was so much better than what I would have done. And I learned so much from him. He sadly passed away a few years ago, but what a genius guy. And the collaboration was beautiful in that I would have a meeting with Julie and Emma about which moment we were going to musicalize. I would say, throw out any ideas, anything this character might think or say, or whatever. And I just scribbled, and that gave me the raw material. And then I would shape it into a lyric, or sometimes I'd say maybe half the time we would decide what moment we wanted to musicalize, and Ian would write music.
Oh, wow.
I'd never done that before.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was so cool, because then the music was so brilliant that it kind of opened the door to what, and certainly, obviously, to set the music, the melody would tell me what the lyrics needed to be. That was a good collaboration.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So just to go back to one thing that I think you kind of mentioned, do you usually write lyrics first for your songs, right?
I have for every song that I can think of, except one. There's
Mm.
one song on my Grateful CD for which I wrote the music first. Believe it or not, A Powerful Man.
Oh, whoa. Okay. I love that song.
It's bizarre.
That's incredible. I'd love to talk a little bit about Grateful because I grew up with that record. It's one of my favorite collections of music ever. It's some of the best piano playing I've ever heard in my life. It's some of the best song writing that I've
Gee,
ever.
look at the time. I'm sorry.
I'm
It's the
sorry.
night.
I'm sorry. Hey, you
Whoops.
gotta. Oh no.
Knocked my light over.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm
You're
so
fine.
embarrassed.
No, you're all right. You're all right. So I guess let's start a little bit about the album because that's a collection of songs that you had written over the course of various years.
A long time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How long? Like what was, because I know That Smile is a very
That
old song,
Smile
right?
is really, really old. That was like from 1983 or something.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Which
Okay.
was almost 20 years before we made the album. I think that's the oldest, that and Taking the Wheel.
I mean, those two, for me, they're vibrant and expressive, and they fit just as well in with anything I would listen to today. So they don't feel, I mean, they feel timeless, you know, in the best way.
That is the glass half full side of writing in a vacuum for 25 years or so, you know, constraining me or guiding me by praise or criticism. I was pretty much ignored entirely. My writing was just for me. And since I was just doing it for me, I did whatever I felt like doing. And in the process, you know, didn't get recognized and didn't have any success and didn't have any outlets for the songs for many, many years. But I developed a unique style.
Yeah.
And also because I didn't try to write what pop music was at the time. I think there is sort of a timelessness about what I did write because it isn't connected to any time period.
Right.
They weren't commercial then, and they're not commercial now.
No. I mean, I did grow up with these as my standards. My mother, for the interview purposes, so that everybody knows, my mother, and also full disclosure, I was raised on John Bucchino music. My mother was the first person to sing your music, I believe, other than you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and why do I see you lying on an analyst's couch saying, "Well, doctor, I was raised on John Bucchino music."
No.
And yet you managed to find love.
I did.
So it didn't warp you that badly, which is good.
And so, but I got to listen to the demos when I was a kid. I will say I was 8 when the Grateful album actually did come out, and Temporary is really heavy for an 8-year-old at that time.
Oh my
I would say.
gosh.
I have a question for you. I just am curious as how you conceive of songs. What would power a song for you?
Well, it depends. When I started writing, I just was writing, as I said, for me, and therefore I was writing out of my own experience. So there were a lot of, tragic, unrequited love songs, and it was very journalistic. And so now with characters, I just try to put myself in their shoes, in their lives, in their mindset, and say what they would maybe say. So it's kind of an acting, I'm sure you do this too, it's kind of an acting exercise to become somebody else while you're writing the song. We have mutual illustrious mutual friends. One in particular I know often starts with the title of the song and where the song is going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the polar opposite of the way I do it, which is I just start pulling a thread and then follow it. And I feel like if I put intellectual constraints on a song, it's not going to be as good as if I just let it take me where it wants to go. And they take me to some really surprising places that after the fact I look at and say, well, I would never have thought of that. Oh, wait, I did, but I would never have thought of it. I arrived at it and it was a gift, but it feels like a gift of a snippet of creation that is beyond what my conscious mind can imagine.
Wow.
And I love when those gifts happen, and they happen the more I don't think. Well, as I said to Stephen Schwartz, another mutual.
Who?
Yeah. But no, he was going, and he tells this story all the time, and I tell it too, only because it might be useful to other writers.
Yeah.
He was having a writer's block. He was on some project, and he called me up, and he was like, I was like, how are you doing? He was like, oh, I can't figure this out, and I'm just stuck, and and we were talking about it, and I realized that, if we were sculptors and we would go to the store and buy a chunk of clay or a chunk of wood to carve or a chunk of, whatever, marble, and then we would shape it. But as songwriters, we have an additional stage in the process before we start shaping. And that is, we have to generate our own raw material.
Right.
So if you start shaping in that early stage, when you're trying to generate the raw material, it's going to screw you up, and you're going to get frozen, and you're going to get blocked if you let the editor in to that early part of the process. Because often the thing that I end up liking the most at the end of the process, the line or the phrase or the angle or perspective or whatever, often it's the thing that if my editor had been in the process early on, he would have said, well, that's really weird. Don't do that. That's really silly. But often those are the most wonderful, interesting components.
Yeah, I love the idea that you have kind of two kinds of jobs that you have to do, and you have to finish one before you can move on to the next. It's very common sense, but it really doesn't make common sense while you're working on a song,
Stephen has said that it helped him enormously, and that since then he has an experienced writer's block because he consciously acknowledges there's phase one, the generating the raw material, and there's phase two, the shaping the material.
Wow. That's amazing, actually, though.
Once I've got a couple of big pages full of scribbles, it's like, oh, this little piece could go with, oh, that's kind of cool. And I'll put these two lines can go together, and that's starting to build bigger chunks of it. It's different every time, but it always starts with the big funnel.
The big funnel. I love that big funnel. I think that's amazing. Another question, when did you write your first song?
Okay. Well, it was in high school. And when I was 12, we moved from Philadelphia to Palm Springs area, Palm Desert. We couldn't afford to take my piano, this big, giant upright thing that weighed 1 million pounds and stuff. And it was too expensive to move. So in the middle of 7th grade, going through puberty and all the stuff that one goes through, I was transplanted from Catholic school to public school in Southern California. And I was the new weird kid that talked funny and was really shy and stuff. And I didn't have my security blanket, which was my piano. So I taught myself how to play guitar. My mom won a guitar in a poetry contest, believe it or not, and gave it to me. And I taught myself how to play guitar and fell in with a bunch of guys who all played like guitar. It was, folk music and whatever. And they became my best friends in high school. And I would learn Simon and Garfunkel songs and teach them how to play them. And then we started. The first song that I remember was a song that I co-wrote with my friend Pete, because our friend Chuck had his appendix out. So we wrote a song called Appendectomy.
Oh, oh yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, you know the question that is following.
What would that be?
Could you sing me a
Sing a
portion of
little bit. Well,
Appendectomy?
singing, I don't know about singing, but I can do a little bit. It's appendectomy, appendectomy, and with your cooperation, they perform the operation. Appendectomy, appendectomy. 7,000 million stitches they put in above your britches. Now you've got a pocket for your picks.
Oh my
That
God.
was, it was like bumpy, 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 bumpy appendectomy. It was
I'm
just,
obsessed. That's
that's,
incredible.
oh, and it started, the doctor told us that you're going to die. Boom, boom. So we thought we'd write this little song to say goodbye. Oh, appendectomy. So that's
Wait, where's
one of
that
the,
on the
that's
Grateful
one of
album?
the, yeah, sadly, I don't have a recording of that.
But I do want to say you've been doing a project where you've been kind of taking all of these different recordings from all of these different times and uploading
Not
and
appendectomy,
not
sadly.
appendectomy.
Glorious though it may be, and coverable. I mean, really, Ariana Grande is clamoring for appendectomy.
Yeah, no,
Um,
she told me about that. She definitely texted me
if
about how
only
much she wanted
someone
it.
would write a song for me called Appendectomy.
Appendectomy.
Oh well.
Um,
So yeah,
but
this
like, so
project.
what is
Yeah,
that? What has that been like? Kind of revisiting. I wonder. Have there been any absolute surprises in the bunch?
you know what? No.
No, you remember every single thing.
I do remember them
Good.
all. Thank God that I have kept a lyric notebook since I started writing. I type them up and put them in a binder. So actually, just a moment.
Oh wow, yes.
I got
Yes.
well, here is a binder of
Whoa.
like 350 songs or
Oh
so.
my God.
So yeah, so not only did I keep the lyrics, thank goodness, but also I have demos of all but like 15 of them.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, going back
Oh my
to
gosh.
1969,
And
because
appendectomy is one of the 15?
no, that's appendectomy is one of the 15, sad, heartbreakingly.
There were two songs that I heard of kind of the singles that you had sent me that you had cut back in the day. What were
did
those
get
two
a brief record deal in 1980 with a small label called Horn Records. And it was a guy named Jimmy Haskell, and he's a legendary arranger. And he did, for instance, the string arrangement to Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Oh, whoa.
Anyway, Jimmy made his name and his success doing that, and he decided to start a small label. And through a convoluted, serendipitous, almost unbelievable set of circumstances, got me the record deal a year later. We recorded some those singles that you heard. Nothing ever happened with them, unfortunately. But it was an incredible experience. It was the most sort of high level recording experience that I'd ever had.
I have a one more question, and then I think that this kind of will play into kind of going into the Grateful re-release. Have you seen any performances of your work recently that have just knocked you out, or?
Oh, sure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Broadway Inspirational Voices, is it called? There was, the Actors Fund had a big benefit honoring Stokes, Brian Stokes Mitchell. And they, Michael McElroy, did an arrangement of Grateful, which the lead, well, he started it, but then Norm Lewis took over. And the choir joined in, and oh, hello, I could die happy. It was absolutely gorgeous.
So the Grateful, I mean, it's the 20th anniversary of Grateful, the album coming out.
The Grateful album. And, I didn't even know that. And I wish I could remember who told me it, but whoever it was, bless their heart, said that, it's the 20th anniversary of the Grateful CD. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, we should probably, mark that anniversary in some way. And this gives us a hook to put together a concert. And then it just, came together over about 3.5 months. And I got some of the same singers, your wonderful mom, for instance.
She's all right.
She's amazing. Your mom, Andrea Marcovici, and Hampton Calloway, Amanda McBroom, who else? David Campbell, although he sings a different song than what he sang on the original CD. And then added some other, extraordinary singers to the mix. Leslie Odom Jr., Michael Kilgore, Mr. Stephen Schwartz sings a song.
Who?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna keep making that joke.
Natalie Douglas, who's gorgeous.
I love her.
Our dear Will Reynolds, who sings the newest song in the batch. It is actually a live concert, just enhanced.
Yeah. Well, reverb never hurt anybody.
No, come on.
No, exactly. It originally aired over the holidays, December 15th through, but it's having a re-air now in January, right?
Yeah, it originally aired December 15th through this December 31st, and it will be re-airing January 15th through January 31st. And we're raising money for an organization in New York called the Ali Forney Center, which helps homeless LGBTQ young people, which is, come on.
Incredible.
Beautiful, beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then after the 31st, there's going to be a way to maybe get the concert, or?
I think what I'm going to do is put it exclusively on my Patreon page.
Oh, incredible.
It is patreon.com/John Bucchino.
I'll put the link underneath this video.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah, of course.
If people want to watch the Grateful 20th anniversary concert, tickets are $20 and they are available. There's a link to tickets at the bottom of the first page of my website at johnbucchino.com. And you can buy a ticket there, and it is good for unlimited viewing for the 2-week period during which the concert will be streaming. So you can watch it as many times as you want. Please don't give the link to other people. And go buy a ticket, and you're helping to support my work, of course, but also this wonderful charity, the Ali Forney Center. And thank you very much. End of commercial.
I'd love to talk for a second about Isora, that Danish musical that you were talking about, because it's beautiful with a gorgeous score. This is something I've never had the incredible honor of doing, but you had to work with someone to translate your lyrics into Danish.
Well, I didn't work with him.
Okay.
He was the book writer, a guy named Mads Nielsen, Mads. Again, this was a joyful collaboration. And I spent a lot of time, of course, in Denmark doing readings, and they had money and they did it right and they paid me well. It was a commission, which is the most beautiful sound I've ever heard, that word, commission. And just let me do what I do. The story takes place in Denmark, and in that town where we were doing it, where the theater was, in 1865. And I said, well, do you want me to try to emulate Danish music from 1865? I was hoping he would say no. And he did. He was like, no, of course not. We want you to, we're hiring you because we want you to do what you do. It was like, we trust you and we honor who you are as a creative person. Bring that to the table. I would say that is the happiest theatrical experience. Well, that and Simeon's Gift, the children's musical that I wrote with Julie and Emma and Ian, those two were the most joyful, open-hearted, beautiful creative experiences of my life.
That's beautiful. That's an incredible experience, it sounds like. This album is actually, I think it's other than like YouTube, where you can find live performances, I think it's the only professional recording of one of my favorite songs of yours called Learn How to Say Goodbye, right?
It is, although I have a recorded version of it that happens to be, did I mention I have a Patreon page?
Oh, I didn't hear about that. Patreon.com
Anyway,
/ John
yeah,
Bucchino. Okay.
Learn How to Say Goodbye, a demo of which I did in up at Adam Gettle's farm in Vermont,
Oh,
because why
wow.
not? Because
Oh my God.
and he was my engineer.
Oh, nice. It's a little side hustle for
in
him.
his glorious studio in on the top floor of a barn overlooking the hills of Vermont, with the best Steinway piano you have ever seen in your life. I'm so lucky. You know, I talk about this stuff and it's like, I am the luckiest guy in the world. It's true. If I hadn't written Grateful, I would write it right now.
That's gorgeous. That's actually absolutely gorgeous.
Well, no, it's just true. I mean, how fortunate, right?
In 2020 to have that outlook, I think that's a gorgeous, beautiful thing.
You, by the way, I didn't say this, sang your butt off, by the way, on that Grateful concert.
Thank you very much. Well, that was back when I had hair, so I feel like now the tables have turned a little bit. They're not going to be as impressed anymore. You know?
I think you're more aerodynamically, effective.
That's it. So It's Only Life, that's a song cycle concert kind of piece.
Well, it's also theatrical.
Yeah.
And as you know, it's really tricky to put together a review.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be more than a song cycle, and it can't attempt to be, musical theater show, a book musical, because it's not that either. It's a weird, falls in between the cracks, and it's hard to do it. And I think people make the mistake of trying to make it a book musical and therefore asking the songs to carry more weight than they were meant to carry if they weren't written for it. How can a song that wasn't written for a given moment be good enough? And in fact, what it does is it makes a good song sound like a failure, because you're asking even a good song to do a job it wasn't written to do. You can't help but fail at that. So when Daisy and I were putting it together, we come up with an order of like 2 or 3 songs. And I say, oh, I get it. So this character is, and she'd say, there are no characters. And I'd say, oh, it's kind of like a story. But she'd stop me and say, there is no story. It was like, she was like the Zen master. And I was like trying to, intellectualize something. But then what we did come up with is a dramatic arc to it, which is simpler and also more profound. It starts with a bunch of people who are operating in their lives from a place of fear. And by the end, they are not fully, but able to at least imagine operating from a place of love. So the show has had a little bit of life.
That's
Problem
amazing.
is, the piano parts are really, really hard to play.
So speaking about that, actually, I personally don't write my own sheet music down. That's not something that I'm capable of. And I'm not sure whether or not you've been doing that more or if that's been a thing. But your parts are very difficult to play for most piano players. I'm curious. I know that's not something that you're consciously doing.
No, I'm not trying to torture pianists at all. Whatever the right thing is what I, what I do, whatever feels right. That's an important part of being a writer, is knowing when you've said what you want to say. And luckily, for whatever reason, I have a very strong sense of that, of that's what I want to say. And that's the exact way in which I want to say it. So I know writers who like have lots of bits and pieces of songs that they, haven't finished. And I think part of that is the sort of questioning or the doubt, well, is this really the best way to go? Is this the best way to express what I want to express? And again, for whatever reason, I know when it's right. And I also know when it's done. When you know what you want to say and you feel like you've said it to the best of your ability, that's it. Let it be born, and let it go out into the world and have a life.
I wanted to bring up one song that I love from It's Only Life that I think has such an incredible both lyrical and musical journey. A Glimpse of the Weave has always been one of my all-time favorite songs. I think it's a miracle of a musical song, and the lyrics are just incredible. I would love to just talk a little bit about that song just because I love it so much.
Yeah, sure. Well, it closes It's Only Life, and I wrote it when my brother was dying and died of AIDS in '92, and shortly after that, I wrote as an expression of grief, but also my sort of philosophy of life. And I guess because I've had these moments where it's sort of the big camera pullback, where I get a sense of the interconnectedness of everything, of us and this table. And, that if you think about it, we're all in the soup together, and we're all part of the soup. And the soup is an atomic soup. And every once in a while, something happens to my vision. I have these moments where I feel like I'm seeing that soup, like I'm seeing the atomic dance. And I blink and I think, am I really seeing this? And even when I blink, it's still there. And it's miraculous. And so I think in that song, that attitude and perspective is expressed in the context of losing someone and death and what life means. I mean, it's kind of broad strokes and big concepts. And it would never have had a life had not, the brilliant and wonderful Daisy Prince chosen it to end the review, It's Only Life. And I'm really, really proud of that one. And the fact that I have had the incredible good fortune of sharing my work. And yeah, getting pats on the head. If I've got an ego like anybody else. It feels good when people like what you do. But more importantly, just to know that we write, I think, I do, I think you do too, to communicate. And what's the point of communicating if there's nobody on the other side?
I have just a couple more questions for you, and then we'll call it an evening. What's your favorite film?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I don't know why. I wish it were something like lofty and intellectual and impressive, but I love Notting Hill.
Oh my God, I love Notting Hill too. I love that movie.
Just is like a perfect film. It just kills me.
Beautiful. All right, two last questions, two really quick ones. I think this will be easy for you. What is your favorite lyric from a song you did not write? Oh. And what's your favorite lyric that you wrote?
Whoa. Well, the favorite lyric that I wrote is probably the end of Sweet Dreams, where they put the stars right at your feet and people delight in stepping on them. And the fact that it doesn't finish.
It's perfect.
So that I like that a lot. Yeah. And my favorite song that somebody else, a Joni Mitchell lyric. I don't know that this is
I knew it.
My favorite. Oh, come on.
I knew it was going to be a Joni Mitchell lyric.
There's so many songs of hers. And also Paul Simon. Oh my God, what a lyricist that man is. I got to know Art Garfunkel very well, and we became dear friends, but I never met Paul Simon, and he's one of my songwriting heroes as well. But the Joni Mitchell lyric that immediately popped into my head is it's from the album Hissing of Summer Lawns, and it's like a priest with a pornographic watch, looking and longing on the sly. Sure, it's stricken from your uniform, but you can't get it out of your eyes.
Oh, wow.
She's just, I met her once.
Oh, really?
I met her once at a gay bar in West Hollywood, yes.
Oh my God.
When I saw her on Oscar night in 1975, at this gay bar because I was being renegade and didn't want to watch the Oscars with all my friends. So I rode my orange moped to West Hollywood to go to this dance bar.
Your orange moped?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Just flow with me here. And walked up the stairs, and there by the cigarette machine, oh my God, was Joni Mitchell, swaying to the music in earth tones. And I had a reason to talk to her because I had dedicated a harp piece to her and it was being premiered the next week. I'd also sent her an invitation to the concert along with the sheet music, a copy of the sheet music, which was inscribed to Joni Mitchell, So, but I was terrified, and she started to walk down the stairs and leave. And before I could stop myself, my feet propelled me over to her and I tapped her on the shoulder. And she turned around and imperiously said, "Yes." And I felt like the cowardly lion in that scene in The Wizard of Oz where there's an explosion.
Oh.
But I started babbling and I said, well, I wrote you this, this piece, and I have this heart piece, and I dedicated it to you, and your Joellen, sent it to you. Blah, blah, blah. And then somehow I had enough credibility that she became a human and not a goddess. And it was very nice. Oh, I've been out of town and I haven't checked my mail. And I said, well, when you get it, know that it's from me. And then I love what you do and you inspire me, or something like that. And she was, oh, thank you so much. And that was my encounter with Joni Mitchell. But I did get to, for one moment, ascend Mount Olympus and was graced with the presence of my goddess.
That's beautiful. John, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I've had the greatest time getting to dive into some things, and this was just the tip of the iceberg,
I warned
obviously.
you that we were just not going to have anything to talk about. There was
I
going to
know.
be lots of painful silences.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jack
well.
will have to edit around a lot of this
Yeah.
conversation,
It's all on your shoulders now, Jack.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. I feel like we had a really great convo. Like and subscribe, gotta love YouTube.
Gross.
Gross. Thank you, Jack.
Like a mirror.